It's a crazy time to be a Nintendo fan. There seems to be a noticeable trend. It seems that, given the popularity of the Switch, just about any IP that actually ends up on the platform, new or old, performs significantly better than it had before. In addition, most games on Switch seem to represent a significant evolution for the gameplay of their franchise. This trend of IP expansion has had an incredibly positive effect on the platform and to its games. For fans, lots of time is spent anticipating these new titles. There is a huge appetite for news. It seems that, in response, all over the industry, leaks have been springing up with news of these new games. So, how does this pertain to Pikmin? In the first video in this two-part series, we talked about how Pikmin is poised to be successful going forward, especially on the Nintendo Switch hardware, based on the prior and present sales data of the series, alongside current sales trends, with the hope of answering whether or not Pikmin 4 will indeed release for Switch. If you'd like to take a look at the sales information and see what hope exists for Pikmin on Switch financially, it's worth checking out the first part. It will be linked in the card on the top right and in the description below. That being said, today we're going to be taking a different direction. We're going to be discussing the leaks surrounding the elusive Pikmin 4 to see if it is indeed in development for and will release on Nintendo Switch. My name is Vantage Emblem, and there's a lot to unpack here, so let's dive right in. Oh, and do remember to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy what you see. Thanks. Anyway, let's get into this. It's no secret that Pikmin 4 has had a troubled development history, to say the least, with Mr. Miyamoto confirming the game is in development as far back as 2015, and a string of contradictory statements about the game's development having been released afterwards. Frankly, I'm not going to go into detail about this, since most everyone who is interested in this topic either knows the saga already or can find the information with a quick Google search. That being said, it's a blight. Suffice it to say, since the last statement we got on the game in 2017, the only real news we've had on the Pikmin franchise has been regarding the spin-offs Hey Pikmin and Pikmin Bloom, and also Pikmin 3 Deluxe, the port of Pikmin 3 for Switch. That's many years now of radio silence, and it's actually soon approaching a decade between game releases. Given the gap between the release of Pikmin 2 and Pikmin 3, this is unfortunately not without precedent. The mainline Pikmin series has been MIA, the last title releasing on the Wii U console considered a commercial failure. This set the series back. In regards to a new entry coming to Nintendo Switch, it took quite a bit of time for even a port of Pikmin 3 to arrive on the platform, with Pikmin 3 Deluxe finally being announced and released in 2020, performing presently as the best-selling Pikmin game to date. This title was heavily rumored and leaked from the birth of the Switch as an easy Wii U port, and these leaks and rumors were correct, though given the sheer volume of other Wii U games brought to Switch as ports, it would have been an easy guess to make. With the era of Pikmin 3 Deluxe speculation past, the game having released, it seems that the world has opened up for leaks to move on to the next numbered entry of the series, Pikmin 4. In development for far too long, beginning at the end of the Wii U era and now rumored to be in development for Switch, Pikmin 4 is a very long-awaited title, obviously. There have been a variety of leaks for the past few years regarding the development of Pikmin 4, in fact, but it seems that more have been coming recently since the release of Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Perhaps as the game has had more time to incubate in development, since it has been well over a year since the release of Pikmin 3 Deluxe. For a good long while, leakers have been claiming that Pikmin 4 received a development reboot in the latter half of the 2010s, not unlike the reboot of Metroid Prime 4 that was announced to us a while ago. While nothing has been officially confirmed, perhaps because the game has not yet received a public trailer and thus the delay is only internal, unlike with Metroid Prime 4, which had seen a public teaser trailer prior. Leaker Marco Maro, who correctly predicted the Fire Emblem Warriors spin-off in the past direct, alongside correctly predicting a new Kirby game, in quotes, designed as a 3D adventure with ... RPG elements, end quotes, which turned out to be The Forgotten Land, has shared his potential insights on the game. Marco Maro has been claiming for a while now that Pikmin 3's development was restarted in 2016 to 2017 in a manner similar to that of Metroid Prime 4, leading to Miyamoto's twisting statements and the long development time, but that the game is close to being finished now. Marco Maro, however, stated that a new Pikmin game would be shown in 2021, which is correct as long as you're counting Pikmin Bloom. The only other way he's right about this is there was another internal delay, which would be rather unfortunate. However, I am always an advocate of less crunch and for the well-being of developers, so if delay is what needs to happen, a delay is what needs to happen. And yes, I know there is a relevant Miyamoto quote for this, but, well, I'll let you paste that in the comments if you so wish. Another leak comes from the frequent leaker Pikipedia. This leak claims that the next Pikmin is in development by Vancouver-based developer and frequent Nintendo collaborator Next Level Games, expected to be revealed this year. Next Level Games has been behind the development of other Nintendo titles, such as Luigi's Mansion 3 and the upcoming Mario Strikers Battle League. These two titles, in particular, deal with a very closely monitored Mario IP, so these devs are afforded a great deal of trust. Theoretically, this means Nintendo could extend this trust to them with Pikmin as well. Pikmin is a much smaller franchise, and for that reason, is less protected in many ways than the Mario franchise. However, it's very personal and important to Mr. Shigeru Miyamoto, so in some ways, it may actually be a greater act of trust to allow Next Level Games to develop a Pikmin game than some sort of Mario spin-off. That being said, this choice does make logical sense. Considering Pikmin is a franchise that is too small to be a priority for Nintendo's main development studio, this could be an excellent choice. Much like with Mercury's Steam and the Metroid Samus Returns and Metroid Dread games, outsourcing Pikmin to a smaller studio could create an opportunity for more frequent game releases of high quality without having to sacrifice main Nintendo studios. In fact, given something Mr. Miyamoto had said a while ago about having trouble finding a place for Pikmin with the busy nature of Nintendo development teams, this sounds like a perfect solution in order to prioritize. While some leakers have gone as far as to claim that we could expect to see a Pikmin 4 reveal in the later half of 2022, some have reported less than optimistic prospects. Frequent leaker Emily Rogers claims that, in truth, we need to stop expecting Pikmin 4, since we don't know if it ever really got past the experimental stage of development, before or after being rebooted, which she also insinuates happens, just as other leakers have. So, what does this all mean? Frankly, we'll not know for certain until any official word comes out on Pikmin 4 from Nintendo, and if that ever happens, you know I'll be here to cover it. That being said, how do I feel on the matter? What should you think? Personally, just as I concluded at the end of the first part of this video, my analysis is that the time is right for Pikmin 4, even if Nintendo doesn't see it. It's approaching 10 years since the release of the original Pikmin 3, and it's been over a year since the release of Pikmin 3 Deluxe. If development was truly rebooted, and the game has had anywhere since 2016 to 2019 to incubate in development, then it will have had 3 to 6 years to be worked on since the reboot. For this reason, I believe that 2022 is the perfect time to announce Pikmin 4, probably during the latter half of the year or during the direct that formerly would have been attached to E3, and that a release window in mid to late 2023 would be perfect for it. This could easily have us seeing the game release on Switch during what is likely one of its last big years before a potential successor's looming possibility or the actual announcement of a successor console begins to bring down sales of Switch titles and the Switch itself. What's clear is this: there's no better time than now to awaken the Pikmin series and to pluck it from its deeply dormant state. If Nintendo misses this mark, they've passed on a golden opportunity. But with the recent port of Pikmin 3 Deluxe, the leaks as they stand, and with the release of Pikmin Bloom, there's plenty of reason to be positive when having a little more patience with the return of our plucky plant pals. But what do you think? Do you think Pikmin 4 will actually release on Switch? Or maybe on its successor? Do you think we'll ever see the game at all? Let me know in the comments below. And if you watched this far, well, you should probably subscribe. I mean, it's free. And I'll be talking more Pikmin stuff too. Anyway, that's all for today. I'll stop rambling and end things here. I'll see you around. Catch you in the next one. Take care.